we're here, of course, to discuss your building. And I was down there again today and looked at it, and I saw we had started cleaning on it. What we do is declare it as a dilapidated building. You've been in it, I'm sure. And the roof had caved in, it's full of mold, it's had dead animals in it, it's had kids in it. And then I heard just a little bit ago that you guys are wanting to fix it up.
Sure.
What are your plans for it?
Well, I really had no plan for it at all. I never bought the building.
Right, that's what I...
You know, both the buildings here in town were given to me from a guy that owed me a lot of money.
Right.
And instead of getting money, I got buildings, a couple lots in Florida, and a motel, and I don't know, a bunch of different stuff. None of which I can use to pay my bills with. So it makes it kind of hard.
Right.
And also makes it unexpected. I have 70 buildings in 6 states, none of which are my chain buildings. Good buildings, nice buildings. I had the tallest building in Oklahoma City until recently, and Devin moved out of part of our building and sold a 30-story building they had and built that big glass building. And it'll probably be glass 4 feet deep on streets around if a tornado hits it. That's going to be a real problem if the tornado hits it. I did bring a couple of pictures along of the next project, like for everybody to sit. We're about to start that. It's a medical building. The university wants to call it Cotter campus. $55 million building. And that's not our biggest building by far.
Right.
However, when I come to Cherokee, I come kind of as a stranger, even though I spent my young days in Gary, not too far from here. I served my time in the military. When I got out of the military, I had medical discharge. I had a medical problem, because of Army. I spent 2 years in 82nd Airborne. Pretty hard on me. Anyway, when I went to college, I hadn't been there very long. My folks wanted me to be a doctor, so I took pre-med. And by the time I got through the 4 years of pre-med on the city bus line, also I built a 36-lot subdivision, and decided to take the operation down to California. Lots going on down there. My cousin was a contractor. I got my contractor's license. It's been about 50 years ago. I'm 80 years old. And as I say, over at Gary, my granddad and his brother ran in the land race. About 160 acres down there at the South Canadian River, still in the family today. Still there. I've built buildings of every description. I even built a dam in Idaho. By the way, there were 2 dams that were built by the Corps of Engineers above mine. And they come out there and they said we would stop your construction if we could. And I was taking big steps and walking across the field and said, you're the biggest fool I've ever met, you know. If this dam goes out, it'll wipe out everything all the way to the Boise River, including houses and roads and the freeway and all that sort of thing. About 6 years later, a 100-year flood comes, and by George, water come down and it wiped out everything through the freeway, and just like the man said, except for one thing. The two dams above mine were built by a Corps of Engineers. They were both failed. All that water come down, went over the top of mine. Mine's still there today. When I walked down the streets of Boise or Caldwell, Idaho, and I meet any of those guys across the street, they're embarrassed. I have the ability to do just about anything I want to, and I also have.
Do you have a timeline for what you're doing here?
I haven't had up to this time because I didn't have any idea that all this crap was taking place. People broke into the building.
Yeah.
They have an axe. We have the axe that they left there. It's got gold handle. I thought I'd bring it in here and show it to you people, but it might be that you think I was skeptical or something like that. But
Well,
not an intention at all. It's just evidence.
what we'll do, I mean, it meets every definition of dilapidation. I mean, it's, we can set up a timeline of different things to have done, have it cleaned up. I saw you boarded it.
Yeah, people could just come and go if they
And
wanted
they had,
to.
we had a problem with kids
Animals
getting in
and
there.
everything
Yeah.
else, you know, it's terrible.
Now, I visited one of your property managers 2 years ago, maybe
What's that?
3 years ago. One of your property managers, someone from your Oklahoma City office had come up.
Come up here?
Yeah,
Really, who was it?
I don't know his name. I called back about a month later and he didn't work for you.
I don't know any property manager in Oklahoma that's male except this man right here.
Wasn't you?
We have had a gal that had long blonde hair. Her name was Tammy Powell at the Tower Building. And
This one, you know, at the time we had talked to him about turning it into, you know, having it torn down and just turned into a park. What we'll do here is declare it dilapidated. Then we can give you time to hit certain goals or to have it where it doesn't meet that definition. But what's going to happen when those kids are in there, eventually someone's going to get hurt, seriously hurt. And with the
how
mold
come
in
the
it,
police don't keep them out of there?
because you can't patrol it 24 hours a day.
Well, if the door's open, it seems like a lot of, you notify them.
It's open about every day.
I know
Oh, yeah.
that.
As soon as you leave town, I'll almost guarantee you that someone will be back in there.
Well, they'll have a tough time getting in because we secured that door.
But it will happen.
I'd sure like to know who it is.
That's right.
Because it's barred on the inside, also padlocked the house, that sort of thing.
To me, that
And why would they want in there?
is the kids.
You know, we had a problem like this in Chico, California. I bought a lumber yard there, had 4 buildings on it. And people would come there and some of the metal buildings had an asphalt floor in it. And they would write on the walls and spray can, all kinds of vulgar stuff, and have a bonfire right in the middle of the building and that. And I called the police a number of times to have that, so they could get that stopped. So I bought it to take apart. I didn't feel like the lumberyard belonged in the medical community of Chico, California. The town had overgrown the lumberyard. And so I didn't have time to take down the buildings instantaneously, but after a while, I did take them down. And when I was taking these down, well, we found not only bonfires that had been in there, but a couple stolen cars. And turned those over to the police, and people come around, gang guys. Had a little struggle, actually, physical. I knocked the biggest one down myself. I'm too old to be fighting a bunch of motorcycle guys. But they did pick the biggest one and knocked him down with a single blow. I could have been arrested for doing it, I guess. Well, what you gotta do when you walk in and they block your exit from the building, and they're pushing you around like 3 cats with a mouse, but being platoon sergeant and 82nd Airborne, I went back to my younger days and knocked the biggest one down, the other 2 ran. Really neat to run from a white-haired old man. I've already passed 80.
On this building, they, this is at least the 3rd time. So the roof and everything's been like that for years. I don't know if it was when you first got it. It's been like that for minimum 4 years.
Yeah. It's possible. Possible that was leaking. By the way, I see some leaks on this building.
Yep.
And there's a lot of leaks on a lot of other buildings in this town. This town is...
But when you walk in the building, or I don't know if it's still that way, because I didn't go in the back of it to see what y'all got accomplished, but you would actually walk on the roof. The roof was on the ground.
Well, they hung ceilings on the ground for sure. Hung ceilings have all been clipped and let down. It had help. It didn't just fall.
Yeah. Well, it's been, like I said, when I got here 4 years ago, it was like that.
Yeah.
So,
How about this little book along? I went through.
okay, I'm going to go ahead and declare it dilapidated, though, and you do have a right of appeal to that.
When you do declare dilapidated, that means they cannot repair it?
No, you can repair it. We'll get with Bryce.
Yeah, Don, Mr. Cotter, I'm Bryce Kennedy.
Okay.
I'm the one that sent the original letter. I'm the city attorney. And may I say, if you're 80 years old, you've done well by your years. You look like a much younger man.
Well,
And
you know, I've heard that from a number of people.
Well, you have, and from the sound of it, it sounds like you've done a bit better than I have in my career too. It sounds like you've been very successful. The issue here today is that building, you know, and
One thing
and we would let me go on. No, let me go on, and then you can say whatever you want. Okay, go ahead.
I have broken both eardrums and so speak loudly.
Okay, absolutely. The issue is that building in this town. Now, we would welcome your investment. We would welcome you fixing that building up. You know, Cherokee is doing a lot better than it has in the past. We have Jiffy Trip going in, brand new one, Truck Plaza. We have restaurants going in. We have oil and gas industry booming here. We have great sales tax. There are buildings that are being redone. I mean, things are good in Cherokee. And if you want to fix that building up and you do it with, you know, in reasonable speed, we would hate to lose that building on Main Street. You know, when buildings are torn down on Main Street, it starts blight on Main Street. So we would love that building to be rebuilt there, okay? But it has been in disrepair, as I'm told, for years, okay? So there needs to be a determination made, and made rather quickly, whether you want to save that building and rebuild that building, bring that building up to code and useful for a purpose, or whether you want to yourself tear down that building, or whether we'll tear it down. Now, if we tear it down, and we will tear it down, I mean, the council is committed to tearing it down. If we tear it down, then we will pay that cost, and we will send you a statement. And you have 6 months to pay it. And if you pay it, great. And if you don't, then we will forward that cost on to the county treasurer's office. And the county treasurer will within a few months have a sale, and we'll bid in our lien. And if you pay us then, you can keep your property. If not, the city would be the owner of that property. So that's the, that's the thing now. Do you want to fix it up? We would love your investment in this community. I mean, if you wanted to fix it up, make it right, I'm sure we could use the square feet downtown for some purpose. Oil and gas office, sales office, some purpose. Or you can tear it down. Or we'll tear it down. Now the procedure here is that Don has declared it dilapidated. Our duty is to give you a reasonable time to make that decision, okay? And if you make a decision and you work on that decision, I mean, you don't dilly-dally, you get after it, then we will continue it a reasonable amount of time for you to implement what you want to do, because it's your property. We want to allow you to do what you want, either fix it, make it right, or tear it down. So I have prepared, and this is not just our procedure. This is procedure in state law. We just adopted it. We're following the state law. The state law says we have to notice you. We have to give you 10 days. We gave you more than 10 days. And then we have to have a hearing. It has to be declared dilapidated. And then we have to give you a reasonable period of time. What I like to do is give about 30 days. About a 30-day period. We have another meeting on October 10th. Okay? And what we like to do is say, okay, start now till October 10th, and if it's not repaired or not torn down, then come back and tell us what you intend to do. But if you're working on it, if you're working to bring it up to code, and I'm not just talking about affixing doors or boarding it up, and if you're working on it to bring it back to code, because what we want to see is a decision here, really what you want to do. You want to save it and rebuild it, or do you want it to be torn down? I've prepared a Form 2. I anticipated, because of the condition, that Don would declare it dilapidated. For the reasons that were contained in the original form. If he didn't, I would have to change this. But this particular form says that we found that the walls are falling out and the roof is missing in on part of the building. The building is open, the windows are broken or missing, there's junk or other materials scattered on the property, the real property is overgrown, the building has been abandoned and unused for many years. It's a fire hazard. It's a haven for skunks, snakes, and other noxious materials. And the real property is a significant detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the city. We've set here some dates till October 10th, 2013, at which time we would have another hearing at 4 o'clock. And you could... if you were working on it, you're working on it. And if you come up with a plan, you come up with a plan. But if nothing is done, and it remains in its current condition, then I would anticipate at that time that Don would find that the condition should be removed, and he would either take bids to have it torn down, or we don't have the crews to do it ourselves, do we? Jackson Demolition out of Enid is the big contractor. They give the best bids on tearing structures down. They often do it for the brick and other material, but I mean, there'll definitely be a price there. They're tearing down things all over northwest Oklahoma. They seem to have the best prices. And we'd probably bid it out. They'd probably be low bid, and we would get that done. At the same time that we declare it dilapidated, what we do is we file a notice. It's really a notice of a lien on the property with the Alfalfa County Clerk, and that just warns people sometimes, and I'm sure you wouldn't do it, but sometimes people, when they get this kind of finding on their property, they try to sell it, okay? And the notice with the Alfalfa County Clerk is notice to third parties that it's subject to this certification of dilapidated structures. So you don't have to make any decision today. You know, I mean, today you don't have to tell us what you intend to do. We just need to, determine whether it's dilapidated, and that determination has been made. And we need to give you a reasonable period of time within which to work it out or come back and present a plan. Don, back to you.
Good for me. I mean, like Bryce said, we'd love to see a business in there. It'd be nice to save an older building. We'll have the hearing. Except, I mean, can you have us a plan in 30 days? Or not, at least let us know what, because what's happened, sorry if you're not familiar with it, it's gone on for years and years. Like I say, I think even before I was here, that the process was started and it was never finished. You know, the process of this hearing. And the people in town are just, they're tired of having it.
Well, I don't suppose I have a single friend in this town, as a matter of fact, on the outside.
Oh, so am I. And so we've got something in common, but I live
here. As far as being able to fix that building up in 30 days, I really don't have that kind of time. I'm starting that other construction of big building, 5-story building, $55 million worth in San Bernardino, California. I also have 69 other buildings that I have to take care of.
Right.
They're all big buildings. These are little. They're very, very, very small. And so I didn't want the buildings to start out with. I tried to give them to the city, and the city didn't want them. All I asked was a receipt for the gift. Take it off my taxes.
So are we willing to do that now, Don?
Well, yes. I mean, I'd have to take it to the council. But in the past, I said it's probably 3 years ago, we tried to get it donated. And maybe it never got to you. But,
I never heard about it.
About
10 years ago, when I offered to donate both those buildings to the city, and all I wanted was a receipt so I could take it off the taxes. Because
the man I spoke to said that the reason it didn't happen was because they're using it for depreciation. I thought it was probably depreciated out by them, but your basis in it should be.
Who in the world you talk to? I don't understand that.
Susie Kuntz, ex-Main Street person, had his name.
I know that I got calls, one after another, and I'd be in meetings, and this female voice would come on yet again, one time after another, until I got totally annoyed. And if the kids didn't burn it down, I was thinking about doing it myself. I'm kidding, of course, but I don't like to be harassed, and I'm being harassed right now over and over and over and over by people seeking donations because of my age. People coming with their hands out for everything you can imagine.
My feeling is that the city council would say yes to that.
And I would give you a letter that would state that you made a gift to the city. I couldn't appraise the value of that. I mean, I would say that it amounted to a gift, that you gave us these lots. They did have a building on it that needed to be removed, but that did constitute a gift. You need to get with your own appraiser to determine what the value of that is, but that value of that gift can be deducted from your federal and state income tax. I mean, I can give you that letter. Now that is if the city council is willing to bear the cost of it. And I would have to tell the city council that, I mean, if we tore it down, we would have to front the cost, and then there would be a sale, and we would bid in our costs. I mean, it would be the kind of thing that we theoretically could collect both in personam and in rem, so we could try to collect the money that it cost us from you, but whether that would be a worthwhile endeavor or not, I find that chasing money is not always a good idea. But that is a decision that the city council could do. I could prepare a warranty deed today. You could sign the warranty deed if you wanted to the lots to us, and we would see if the city council would accept it. If we accepted it, we would take it with the obligation to remove the structure. As a comparison, I don't know how big it is because I haven't really looked at it.
The bid we had before on it, the original bid was $20,000 to have it torn down. The second one was 10.
Yeah, I would think it's not it's just one story, right?
It's probably 50 by 130. No, probably 50 by 120.
But it's one story?
Yeah.
Does anyone know, does it share a
Yes.
common wall?
Yes, they have common walls on both sides.
Two sides.
It does.
On both sides?
Yes.
So
It'd be pretty hard on that mortuary to tear out the wall of the mortuary and come down with it.
Yes,
Sure.
it has supporting beams, and
Do the beams go into the other buildings?
yes, I haven't looked on these, but most of them do.
Yeah.
We did one in Medford, and that's why you had to leave the beams there.
Yeah, you have to,
Put some kind of deck.
that part of it you have to do by hand.
Can I say something? I'm a certified general appraiser, resident of Cherokee. A situation like with that building, it would probably have a negative value at this time because the cost of tearing that down, the lot value is not going to be minimal.
Well,
5,000 to 10,000, but it's going to cost that much more to tear it
Mr.
down.
Cotter's basis in that should be what the
it-
debt associated with
Right.
those that the judge granted you. Say if it was $50,000, that should be the value that you use for your tax basis.
That would be a loss.
Generally.
The other building does have value. It's in good enough shape. It's got,
I put a new roof on the little bit building that used to be a mortgage location.
it's a pretty sound building.
And the brick looks pretty good. Looks like a professional bricklayer at least put it together. The building that we're talking about, you have 4 walls. The outside walls are not falling down for sure. It's the interior partition walls. And somebody's gone in there with an axe and cut them down. They had a lot of help. A lot of destruction went on there. I even have the axe that somebody used. It's out in the pickup right now. And the handle is painted gold. If anybody knows, isn't a gold axe? Ever seen one? I don't know what that was all about, but anyway, and the KKK and all that written on the inside, and the front doors, one is busted, and it never did, at the time it was built, it didn't come up to any kind of code I know of. Part of the 1/4-inch sheetrock, number 1. Number 2, the front door is not Herculite, it's just ordinary glass pane. Dangerous. Somebody runs through that and cut the dickens out of them. And somebody has broken it. It's in about 3 or 4 pieces that are just hanging. What would you think about the idea me having a crew come over and clean out everything, partitions except for the supporting beams for the roof. Put a new roof on it, and it wouldn't be dilapidated then. It would simply be 4 walls, roof, clean up the front so it looks nice, and wait to see what I can do with it.
That would be,
Does that make sense?
yeah, that's mine also.
Because you start tearing out the guts of a building right down on Main Street. It's not a good idea.
Yep.
Not a real good idea. And those back walls, or side walls, are walls that are used by both buildings on both sides as well. And I think the best way for the town, and as a matter of fact, I wouldn't do it for economic gain because I don't need it. I have 70 buildings, 5, 6 states, and I definitely don't need that. But I'll tell you what, it would be better for the little town of Cherokee. By the way, when I say Cherokee, I'm talking about Indian blood that runs in my veins as well as my wife's. We're both part Cherokee. But that don't make any difference one way or the other. But we haven't scuffed anybody in years. I'll tell you what, I would be willing to go ahead and put the roof back and make it waterproof. Go ahead and take everything out to dumpster bed and have to haul away everything on the inside so it's a shell. But nevertheless, a shell that can be used. And we'll see if we can't do something different. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. Can you draw up an agreement for that effect?
Sure. Can you, would you use an architect to provide a plan, or
An architect to put a roof on?
or a contractor, or?
I'm a general contractor and I've been one for 50 years.
Okay.
Licensed and bonded in California
Okay.
and other states as well.
So could you prepare just a quote of, I mean, it's not a price, but a plan, a one-sheet plan of what you intend to do?
I've never ever drawn a plan in my lifetime for maintenance. And that's just maintenance, to put the roof back, cut everything out. There's no plan.
Okay, well then let me ask you this: how quickly do you think you could begin doing it?
Begin doing that?
Yes.
I don't know. I talked to a guy that does that sort of thing, and he was pretty busy right at the moment, but he was really interested in doing business with me because he'd like to lay some of the granite and that sort of thing on the tower building in Oklahoma City, and also some work on Lake Point Towers out by the Northwest Expressway. So he's interested, and he does work in different states. And when he found out that I had as many buildings that I have, and we have a lot of construction that goes on every day of the year, everywhere, because people want a space and they want the rooms bigger or smaller, or they don't want any rooms at all.
Was it fair to say that this could be accomplished before the onset of, let's say, accomplished before the 1st of December?
1st of December? I don't know how busy they are. I would say to be safe. What do you say, Jeff? Do you know how much construction's going on?
Are you talking about Val?
Oh, Val or some of the other contractors.
Sure they could get started? I mean, we have that 30,000 footer coming up, but if that starts, that might delay things.
I would think that probably to be safe, we could have everything accomplished by the 1st of February.
Are you willing to give us a letter that would state that?
Sure, I don't know why not.
Okay. Well, you know, what we're looking for is a solution. A solution. We're looking for a solution. And that does sound like a solution. But, you know, what we would like is we'd like to make sure that it gets implemented. I think you can see from Don and me and, you know, if you spoke to the public that, you know, the town is very interested in a solution on that building, because you know, it is it's a haven for snakes and rats and kids, and you know, and we appreciate your offer. Quite frankly, putting a roof on it and saving the facade for Main Street is a good solution. That and cleaning it out. I mean, there may be an interest from someone to put a business in there, to use it as, you know, to use it.
Well, it's a possibility, I don't know. Since Obama come into office, we haven't had a real upturn. In fact, about weekly, I've had letter come to say that this tenant or that tenant has filed bankruptcy. I have 2,500 tenants in various buildings. Some of them are big, some of them are little. But I tell you what, since Obama come in, I hope I'm talking to everybody that's a Democrat here, because I think he's about to ruin the United States.
Could you have it cleaned out sooner than that, all the stuff out of it sooner than that?
Not a problem.
And that way, it's again, and it's not you dropping the ball. What's happened is before it's always started, no one's ever followed through on it. And that's where people were upset.
So can we say that by October 10th or so, we can have it cleaned out and we can have your letter? Does that make sense?
October 10, that's just around the corner.
Well, it's about 30 days. It's 29 days.
I think that I can have a crew in there and clean it out in a couple of weeks, but I can't speak for somebody that I haven't got a deal made with.
Well then, why don't we just say that you use your good faith and best efforts to try to get that done, and we will work with you, you know, on that, and grant extensions if everyone remains in good faith and we show progress. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'd like for one of you guys to read aloud what the mayor of San Bernardino thinks of it. Can you do that? Not my writing.
Jim, a million thanks for embracing a major opportunity to serve the health and educational needs of our city and the Inland Empire region of Southern California. With admiration and great respect, Margaret.
What do you think of that? Yeah, he sent me this book and that sort of thing, and I am going to build those $55 million building in San Bernardino. The university is leasing that. It's my building, but they're leasing it for 20 years. At the end of 20 years, I'm donating it to it. And everybody says, well, will you be alive in 20 years? Some of my relatives don't know when to die. I have one in Tulsa that died at 107. A couple other women, one died at 116 and one died at 120. Those are, and a lot of our family dies at 100 or over.
We'll, I'll give,
What do you think?
you want a copy of this one? That's the Form 2.
Yeah, I gave.
Oh, you gave him one? Okay.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
should probably sign.
Okay, this one's signed.
Yeah, you should probably sign it and give it to Mr.
But,
Cotter.
By the way, I got
We'll
to say
get that letter
something
now.
to the lawyer.
Sir.
Don't send this stuff out with the wrong date.
Ah,
This meeting was held a year ago.
yes, that should have been 13, should it not have? Well, I'm just glad, I did FedEx it to you. I'm glad that you got it.
I figured that it was just a typo. But things happen. Things happen to the best of us.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming, and we appreciate the offer that you made. I think that if we can get that implemented, that could satisfy, that will satisfy what our objection is. But we do have a council person present, Diana. Do you think that works?
If he does what he says he will do, I'm sure it will work.
Okay.
But he needs to do what he promises